Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Christos Perentis and I will present with my colleague and author Xenia Ziouvelou a research work which explored the landscape of trustworthy AI research funded by the European Union, so EU-funded project. And it was co-authored also with Konstantina Giouvanopoulou, Athanasios Davvetas and Alexios Kaponis. Our goal in this study was to better understand the priorities and outputs, as well as the emerging directions of the rapidly evolving trustworthy AI research ecosystem. Please also note that this work was conducted as part of the EU-funded project AI for Europe, which has been focusing on developing the AI on-demand platform, targeting the research community. Um, um, uh, okay, the rise of trustworthy AI. So, as AI integrates in our society, in every aspect of our society, there is a crucial, urgent need for robust and ethical um, standards in AI research and innovation. Actually, this translates actually into three goals, aligning the AI systems with our European democratic values and fundamental rights, shaping the trustworthy AI service methods as defined by the high-level expert group of the European Commission. Um, they have defined it as the shape in your right, as the intersection of trustworthy AI is the intersection of lawful, ethical, and robust AI systems. And last but not least, preparing the research ecosystem for all the following regulatory hurdles and changes that are going to happen with enacting the EU Act, the EU A Act. Um, let's talk now about the tools for implementing the trustworthy AI tools. The OECD, the Organization for Economic Collaboration and Development, in 2021 defined the trustworthy AI tools, the classified the trustworthy AI tools into the classification as technical, so tools like for issues like bias and robustness. Second, as procedural tools, for example, tools for governance and risk management. And thirdly, educational tools, tools for raising awareness, training, and upscaling all the stakeholders of the AI ecosystem. And in the EU-funded research landscape and the innovation, the frameworks that have been available the last 20 years in the European Union was the FP7, which targeted in collaborative thematic research like health, energy, and environment. Then it was the Horizon 2020, which focused in excellent science, industrial innovation, and societal challenges, key societal challenges. The Horizon 2020 had a stronger focus on innovation, and it was more research oriented. While the last one, Horizon Europe, the last 7 years, um, 6, 7 years, it inherited the pillars from Horizon 2020, but also had a stronger commercial industrial focus. So those are the periods and the programs that we are taking into account in this study. And now I will pass the floor to my colleague and co-author Xenia Ziouvelou.
Thank you very much, Christos. So hello from me as well. So having heard all these aspects from Christos, I will try now to get into our identification of the research gap. We were surprised that despite the substantial investment in EU funding and a number of activities, surprisingly, there is little work to date that has been conducted in order really to analyze the overall landscape of EU-funded trustworthy AI research. Most existing studies focus on individual projects or specific technologies rather than examining the ecosystem as a whole. As such, our work seeks to fill this gap by systematically identifying and classifying and analyzing trustworthy AI projects that have been funded by the European Commission into an empirical overview. The resulting overview of our study aims to provide a useful baseline, we can say, for researchers, policymakers, and the European Union, as well as practitioners themselves interested in understanding better the current research direction and also trying to identify future opportunities. In the next slide, we will see an overview of our survey methodology. Our methodology tried to combine both quantitative and qualitative approaches in a multi-phased methodological approach. So we first conducted a systematic desk review using the European database Cordis search in order to identify all the relevant projects, EU-funded projects that focus on trustworthy AI, and there you can see the keywords and the period of time. Each project that we identified out of the 64 relevant projects, each project was verified by our colleagues through its official website before being included into our database with the resulting 64 projects. Out of these, 51 projects were active, 13 were inactive, that is, they were in previous funding programs. This top-down approach was followed by an online survey that we conducted in order to target the project coordinators in particular, inviting them to participate in our exploratory research via an online questionnaire. If we go to the next slide, we will see an overview of our, first of all, of our top-down research. So as we said, we filter the different projects through the Cordis database, utilize a specific set of keywords. So we resulted in 64 EU-funded projects across different funding programs. In particular, 42 projects were from Horizon Europe, 22 from Horizon 2020, and only one from FP7, which is logical. In the next slide, you will see an overview of our bottom-up research. So to enrich our desk research, we invited the project coordinators to participate in an online questionnaire. 27 projects actually responded to this survey that involve 4 thematic areas, summing up in total 13 questions, including non-mandatory sub-questions. So the 4 thematic areas cover the project profile and funding scheme as a validation of what we had already identified. The second aspect, the trustworthy research aspects of each project. Then another thematic area focusing on emerging research themes. And finally, how they see fit that their project findings could utilize and could acquire help from the European Central AI on-demand platform. Out of the 64 projects, the questionnaire was sent to 56 that were active, and we sent a personalized invitation to the project coordinators. The contact points were available online for a period of 3 months from July to September 2024, and our respondents were 27 EU projects. My colleague Christos will now continue with the rest of the findings. Thank you, Christos.
Thank you, Xenia. So let's dive into our findings regarding the online questionnaire. Please note that for the rest, for the presentation now for the results, the percentages do not add up to 100% since participants in the survey could select more than one answers. Um, so our results, the first result is that the main outputs of their project, we asked them how what are the target of your final outcome. So we observed that the three main output categories, the first three, toolkit, methodology, and framework, are the most popular answers across both funding schemes, Horizon Europe and Horizon 2020. The difference lies in the fact that the 2020, which is more research focused, as we said, um, presents a more uniform-like distribution. So, except from the top tool methodology and framework, they also select recommendation, guidelines, and educational material since they are interesting in more research-wise education, while the other is more commercialized, industry-focused, focuses in the tool methodology and frameworks. Next, we observed, we asked them which is the target audience that their project had. So they could select among academia, industry, policymakers, public sector, civil society, ICT, law, and so on. We observed that the top answers in both schemes is academia and industry. F- for 2020, which is more research focused, academia is the first one, while for Horizon Europe, industry, as we can see, is the first one with around 90%. Interestingly, the third options for the H 2020, it's also policymakers and public sector, while for Horizon Europe, which is more commercial focused, industrial focused, it's the ICT sector with almost 60%. In our next question, we took into account the OECD classification about the trustworthy AI tools. So the OECD classifies the trustworthy AI tools into technical, educational, and procedural. And when we classified those output, Horizon Europe projects, which are the more Horizon Europe, which are more industrial focused, technical tools dominate. They are almost 90%. Technical tools in general is the highest category for both schemes. But for 2020, interestingly, we observe that users also select with 60% educational and with another 60% procedural tools, showing that it's more focused towards research and this kind of results. Both projects are focused on the pillars that the programs we explained earlier, like excellent science, innovation, and societal challenges. In our next question, so here interestingly we cross-tabbed all the target audiences. So we users projects that they focused on industry, academia, or policymakers. We at the same time we cross-tabbed with the classification of the projects that they assigned to the projects. So we can see that across all the target audiences, industrial, academia, policymakers, technical tools dominate with around 50%, more or less. And the second one is the educational tools. It's the green bars. It's the second category, and the procedural tools are the orange bars. And the only difference that we observe is this tension, since our sample size is not so big. So for the category, for the audience of law, we can see that the educational and procedural tools are much higher than technical, and we suspect that maybe this is a tension that maybe will be confirmed in the future, and the future for law maybe will have more technical tools out in the next generation of projects. In our next question, we explored the project, the alignment of the projects towards trustworthy AI principles of the high-level expert group of the EC, namely technical robustness and safety, transparency, human agency, diversity, privacy and data governance, accountability. We observe that Horizon Europe projects, which are the blue bars, um, strongly emphasize transparency, diversity, non-discrimination, and throughout their implementation, uh, while the Horizon 2020 also highly favors, except from those, it highly favors all the categories with a generous 70%. So they have an all-around, more research-aligned focus. Um, and for the next question, which we check the means, we ask them which are the means of the trustworthy AI verification tools that verification means, the way that you verify an AI asset when you need to use to look into an AI asset. And interestingly, we observe that for Horizon Europe projects highlight the reproducibility of results. This makes total sense since they are more research focused. They want to be able to reproduce the results with an asset, with a method, with a tool. In contrast, for Horizon Europe, which is more industry focused, projects prioritize the adherence of the technical solution to ethical guidelines and legal compliance. So they want the solution, they are much interested, so the solution is compliant and ethical.
Mhm.
And last one, we explored we wanted to understand which are the emerging trustworthy AI themes that the practitioners and innovators are, uh, uh, which is the emerging trustworthy AI theme of the next period. What do they think? And we see that for 2020, they favor explainably AI, generative AI, and AI compliance, the compliance factor, while the Horizon Europe, the top one is the difference. So it's human-centric AI. So people that they are more technically focused, they want that their solution is human-centric AI. And explainable and generative is also a category that we found earlier with so both schemes are interested highly in explainable AI and generative AI.
Mhm.
And finally, to sum up, in conclusion, our study shows that the technical tools and the technical robustness are highly prioritized across all the funding schemes. For the type verification, it focuses heavily on ethical and legal standards. This is where they interested more. And interestingly, an emerging trustworthy AI research theme is the human-centric AI, the one that we saw earlier. Um, we need also to mention that our study is more about measuring exploratory study, measuring tensions, so there are limitations. We have 27 participants for our sample size, so this should be taken into consideration.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, and Xenia may continue the rest of the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Christos. I'll try to be very swift. Having seen all this analysis and conclusive remarks, one practical outcome of our work was to create this meta inventory of EU-funded projects and tools as the basis for a European Trustworthy AI Observatory, providing information about the projects, creating an open knowledge sharing environment, allowing visibility, and of course support networking among research communities, but most importantly provide evidence for future European AI policy and direction, as well as the provision of tools for developers. This is meant to be a living resource that will evolve over time in an open collaborative spirit in order to enrich the trustworthy AI landscape of EU-funded projects in Europe. If we go to the next slide, we have tried to summarize our conclusions and future research areas. So you see that our analysis indicated that trustworthy AI research, especially as part of EU-funded projects, is a highly evolving field. EU-funded research has and will continue and should continue to support these research activities. The importance of implementing trustworthy AI with tools and concrete support measures is critical. So how we can actually operationalize everything, potentially facilitating the application of solutions, potentially through new funding European activities in this area. And of course, trying always to consolidate the output of all this research, which is vast, into some concrete results aligned with what we showed you in the creation of a European Trustworthy Observatory. So along these lines, our future research areas is, of course, to maintain and evolve and enhance our work in relation to the European Trustworthy Observatory, focusing on EU-funded projects and research. This will be done through the Central AI On Demand platform, now operated by and evolved by the Deploy AI EU-funded project, as well as AI factories that are part of this ecosystem, like the Pharos AI factories, and of course, all other EU-funded projects interested in this area. We'll try to focus on applied trustworthy AI research, so how we can propose novel trustworthy AI tools that potentially integrate all the different components of trustworthiness, legal, ethical, robust aspects, but also try to identify and analyze and explore emerging trustworthy AI research fields, like the ones that we identified, that is trustworthy AI metrics and benchmarks becoming very concrete, creating a trustworthy AI index for EU-funded research output that can potentially be integrated into the observatory, and of course explore socio-technical trust evaluation aspects and evolution in the context of human-centric AI that Christos mentioned before. So with that, we would like to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Christos, and our co-authors. And of course, we want to stress that this work has received funding from the European Union, EU-funded Project AI for Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.